I was searching for this thing that we're all searching for, which is fulfillment. But what I was getting it confused for was success. I was thinking success and fulfillment were one and the same, and that success meant achieving a monetary amount in your bank account or helping this amount of people, but thousands of times a year. Someone walking in and saying, I truly don't feel like I'd be alive if I hadn't found this place.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast, coming to you from the gorgeous and amazing poker room here at the Venetian Resort, Las Vegas. Tons of gratitude to the fine folks here for having us out. We are super excited about the partnership and the projects that will be coming to you. Make sure that you stay plugged in with the podcast and all of the other channels, because you don't want to miss out on exciting opportunities that are going to be coming your way in partnership with the Venetian Resort Las Vegas. Today, we are joined by Dr. Grant Dennis, who is known as the man who is helping so many people with their migraines. He has an Amazon best-selling book on the topic that so many people are consuming, and so we wanted to invite him here to dive into this, something that affects so many Americans, and once it gets a hold of you, it can send you down a rabbit hole of all kinds of things. People try literally anything once they start feeling the effects of a migraine headache.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the statistics, 1 out of every 4 women get them, which is, a lot of people.
A lot. That's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot of.
That makes your guys' life difficult too when women have
Yeah, I think
migraines. I'm
sometimes
just going to
maybe
say that
worse.
trickles down.
That's 1 out of 4 women. That's not just a. It's not just a female
No.
disorder.
No, it just happens to be less prevalent in males. Certainly is there as well, but
Because women have to deal with it.
Yeah. So the real root cause of the
You got
migraine
it.
headache
Is men.
Pick right up on
I'm
it.
surrounded by.
most definitely. I mean, in
Do
fact,
you
I
have a
think.
migraine yet?
I've been living with one. Just kidding.
Well, we have the guy that can fix it.
Well, I mean,
There's
ironic,
no Botox.
ironically, most of the time it's the husband who's calling to make an appointment for the wife.
Right.
A lot of times, and it's definitely usually always a combined effort of the husband calling for the wife, or the wife calling, making an appointment, brings her husband in as well. It's usually always a team effort because it affects everybody. I mean, it's the number 1 most common debilitating condition of the central nerve system. And yeah, it's one of the things that just over the years, I was just, how do I get the message that we can help these people out there? And I think in the chiropractic profession in particular, one of the things that most chiropractors struggle with is building trust and credibility. You know, there's a lot of ways that the modern medical route over the years has sought to discredit chiropractors. And so there's a little bit of a negative connotation with people who want to make appointments. And I thought, what's a better, and how much time does it actually take to build trust and credibility? I think that's the number 1 thing most people in their businesses, no matter what it is, are looking to try to establish as fast as possible. And, just a lot of the work that I've done with you guys, one of the best ways you can do that in a very quick way is to write a book, to get your message out there, and to meet somebody from a place of trust and credibility through the words that you write in a book. It's what actually got me through writing the book, because I really feel like writing a book is childbirth for a male. I mean, it was just like super hard to get that across the finish line.
I don't know about that one, folks.
Yeah, but people carry their baby around. Where's the book?
What's the book called?
what
Since you didn't bring the prop.
It was
Didn't bring your baby.
painful.
What is
It's called a Life Without Migraines, a little-known holistic method for living a headache-free life is the title. You can find it on Amazon, or you can just go to headpain.org, and I can send you a free copy. You can just put your info in. We'll send it to you.
I have to say, though, this is something that's near and dear to my heart, because a lot of people don't know this about me, but I was a migraine sufferer for a majority of my life. Like, I would be in the corner in the dark, nauseous, throw up, like the whole thing. I mean, I've had a lot of head injuries, and so I've split my jaw open, my chin open twice, broke my jaw, cracked my head open in the front through a passenger windshield in a car, and obviously my health suffered from that. And the number 1 thing that happened to me was migraines. And it was really interesting because before I found chiropractic, I was told that it was something that I would have to live with, and that I would just have to figure out how to get through and how to get through it in a way that it could be manageable, but nobody ever told me there was resolution for it. And I think that's one of the reasons this can be so debilitating, because it's not even just the pain that you're dealing with, it's the lack of hope that's attached to it, right? And it impacted everybody around me. It impacted my relationships, it impacted my ability to be social. And so I understand how this can really impact somebody and all of the people that they love. So what do you see most often is the major like resolution? Like what do people, the benefit that people get outside of just the relief?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, that's normally the first question that I like to ask is, migraines has brought you here, but ultimately what gave you the motivation, because pain's the greatest motivator in a lot of ways, is that motivated you to make this phone call and make this appointment. But what is it specifically from your life that it's stricken from you?
Right.
And a lot of times that's where you will get, an emotional component comes in, because they have finally made the connection, because no one's ever actually made it for them, that it actually has stripped something from my life. And I didn't realize it until this very moment when you asked me, because nobody really asks that question. They just say, oh, okay, well, let's get rid of it today. What can we give you today to get rid of it? But they're really not addressing what is it stricken from your life. And a lot of times the most common things are my ability to be a mother, my ability to be a wife, my ability to, the biggest thing is it's a routine disruptor. Most people that I work with want to live in some sort of routine. I think people find comfort in routine. And whenever you're living your life constantly wondering, when is this next thing that's going to just derail my whole day going to come, a lot of times that's why they also present with things like anxiety. They present with things like depression. They present with things like a lot of different things that accompany it. It's oftentimes because they're living with this anxiety type lifestyle day in, day out of when is this storm going to come and just completely derail my life. And a lot of times it's that. They just say, I just want to get my control of my life back, which is what was the motivation behind the title, was A Life Without Migraines. Is I don't think it's truly possible to live a complete life without them. I don't think that's even achievable. What we can do is get them to a place where their life is not completely day in and day out driven by when is this next life-altering event going to happen to me.
Especially when it's men that's causing them. Yeah. Difficult.
Right. It's definitely
Just saying.
it's definitely one of the more it's interesting, because a lot of times the husband is there in the same room,
Yeah.
like looking through the same lens, but differently from the standpoint of a third party validation. Like, look, I don't care what it takes, I don't care what we
Get
have
this
to
figured
do.
out. Yep.
You've got to get this figured out, because we can't continue down this same road for it's derailing their career, their families, their friends. It's just, it gets to a point to where it's just literally willing to do anything at this point.
So what type of modalities actually heal a migraine? So many people will tell their patient, I'm sorry, it's something you're going to deal with for life, and you're going to be in that position for life. You're just going to have to figure out your way around it. You obviously have ways to heal what other people can't. What's the modality that you're utilizing?
Yeah, so I utilize a little-known method called upper cervical specific care. It's the type of approach that I take. But anytime we're talking about anything that's a health-altering condition, the number one thing most people will admit to you is that I want to find the underlying root cause of this. I'm tired of just masking the symptom. I'm tired of just, so that's what the pills, potions, lotions, as Sean likes to say, or the interventions or the Botox injections, or all these things that they are fully aware that these are Band-Aids, that these are things that are just managing my symptoms. So when I start talking to them about the underlying root cause, no matter what it is in life, when we get to the root cause of it, we have a much better chance of getting rid of it long term. And so the most common modalities are the Botox injections, the medications. But my particular, to answer your question, approach is what we've been able to locate and find is that a lot of people, in fact, the literature tells us about 82% of people are walking around with a misalignment in their upper neck that is occluding blood flow from getting to the head. It's obstructing cerebral spinal fluid from draining to the spinal cord. And the biggest problem is it's causing a brainstem irritation. So that's what I call in my book the choke point, the triple crush phenomenon. When all three of these things are occurring at one consecutive time, that's why oftentimes there's all these different medications that aim at different things, and some work for some people and some don't work for others. But if you're looking for this particular thing, which is what I screen and really look to be present in people, if you can locate that, and what we've been able to find is if you can locate it correctly and make a precise correction that will allow and restore blood flow and all those, make whole again all those things I just talked about, it's truly, in my opinion and professional experience based on that, is what is the underlying root cause for a large lying share majority of these people who are suffering on a day-to-day basis. And the amazing thing is the results that we're seeing with this is incredible. And it's 82% of people, which means there's 18% of people walking around who don't have this particular particular issue, which is what I really try to instill in people, is that that's why it's so important we screen and check you for this, is because just because you have a migraine doesn't necessarily mean 100% of the time we can help. But for a large majority of people who are walking around the earth, and I start to present this idea to them, they're like, first off, the number one thing I hear is, why has nobody told me about this
Right.
before?
Right.
Why has nobody ever mentioned this to me before? And then
And it
once we
makes
go
sense
down
to
there,
them, too,
it
right?
makes all the sense. And then, whether it's a medical doctor, a neurologist, I have a couple of medical doctors' wives that I have under care. When they hear about it, they're like, this should be mainstream. Like, this should be out there. Unfortunately, it's like most things, a competitor to a lot of very high dollar pharmaceuticals and very high dollar Botox injections that perpetually need to be used. And it's a big business.
Which is why it's super important that we leverage our reach and our platforms to help to share your message. Dave is on a mission to help empower over 1 billion people to be happy. But one of the things that I love in our journey with Dave, and exposing Dave to people like you, is that it is very difficult, if not impossible, to be happy if you have a physical ailment. If you every day wake up and you're like, I wonder if today I'm going to have a migraine, or if you are the spouse of someone and you're like, wow, today's great until
It's not.
11:46,
Right.
when all of a sudden it becomes not great. How difficult is it to express gratitude? How difficult is it to be happy? How difficult is it to do all of these things that impact humanity? So now I'm going to carry that to work. People have to call in sick, sometimes for days because they have a migraine. Or I might have to call in sick because my wife has a migraine and she can't function and I need to help out at the house. That is a critical thing. When you see results, you talk about, okay, so what is the thing that's been stripped from you? Tell us a little bit about what you see and the joy that may bring you to see people that are able to recover their lives again and hopefully walk that path of happiness.
Yeah, I mean, it's most definitely the number one reason why I continue to do what I do every single day, is because that's ultimately for many, many years, especially for the first 5 to 7 years of my business, where of working with you guys, and then even prior to working with Dave, I was searching for this thing that we're all searching for, which is fulfillment. But what I was getting it confused for was success. I was thinking success and fulfillment were one and the same, and that success meant achieving a monetary amount in your bank account or helping this amount of people. But really what I was able to kind of bring full circle, and it was actually in the Indie Mastermind in 2021, was that actually what I'm searching for is that, what you just alluded to, which is somebody walking into my office, which happens now, thousands of times a year, someone walking in and saying, I truly don't feel like I'd be alive if I had not found this place today. If I had not found this particular type of care, if I had not found, they always usually say you, to which I correct them and say, you didn't find me, you found the type of care, I'm just the conduit. But allowing somebody to say, literally emotionally come to you and say, I would not be alive today, and I certainly wouldn't have the quality of life as I do today had I not found this place. I have people who fly in, come 3 and 4 hours each way to receive this type of care, and a lot of times it's because they finally get to a place where there's just no price that you can put on my quality of life. And for me, there's no price you can put on somebody coming in and saying, I truly don't feel like I'd be alive or be the person that I am today had I not found this. And for me, that's the motivator. That's what I've been able to attach the gratitude and the sense of fulfillment to, which then ultimately leads to all the byproducts that we're all looking for, which is the success and the ability to come here and hang out with you guys and then bring on other doctors who are searching for the same thing and begin to scale and see more people and make a bigger impact.
What's so interesting is you deal with so many people that are at dis-ease, and some of it is chronic, like a migraine. And in my own, I'm blessed to be so healthy, right? I will gladly say I don't get sick, and if I do, it's for minutes and moments. I'm at dis-ease, physical dis-ease, minutes and moments, mental, spiritual, emotional dis-ease, minutes and moments. But it took me a long time in my life to shift my paradigm to put my health before my family. And when I'm listening to you, even when dis-ease is completely apparent, like it's you're sitting in a corner barfing and crying in pain, it's so funny how people don't take the step that you're the first person to make the connection of the root of the problem. You're at dis-ease. Let's figure out the headache or the migraine is just an indicator that you have a better place to be. The same way as going bankrupt or your business failing or firing an employee or whatever other dis-ease but that's just the pain. And when those things occur in your life, you have to understand that the number one thing in my life is my ease, my health. Because if you're at ease, you get as many wishes a day as you want. You get as many friendships. You can go wherever you want. You can make as many mistakes as you want. But when you're at dis-ease, then, and I want to say this as a comment, I'm the only doctor not here,
Sure.
the only one that's not a doctor, is I like look at myself going, how could this be so simple even for you, that you didn't see this before, that we just have to distinguish, okay, I'm at dis-ease. How do I find where and why this pain is here? Where am I dis-ease? Is it in my neck?
Right.
Or the other 18%? I'm sure there is also some root cause that some other doctor is sitting there like you going, I can help all these people be at ease.
Can I say though, because again, I lived it, I literally lived it. And I think that this can be applied to any dis-ease in our life, whether it's physical dis-ease, emotional, mental. We have often been told a story and a narrative of this is just what life looks like. Even from an emotional standpoint, oftentimes
No pain, no gain?
no pain, no gain. But oftentimes, externally, people will tell you, oh, that's just the way you have to live your life. There's no ability to have more. There's no abundance in the world. Whatever it is, whatever
Right. You
narrative.
can't do that.
You cannot do that. You cannot heal. You cannot live without migraines, right? And so it's
You can't start your own business. You can't get funding.
So many
It'll never
things.
work.
Right, and that's a state of dis-ease as well, right? And so I think it's sitting in the narratives of others that allow us or disallow us to find the solution, right? There's solution for everything out there. I truly believe there's no problem that can't be solved if you truly go and look for it. Somebody has an answer, right? But I think we've just been disempowered by these narratives. And so you're just told that's the way it is. And at some point you convince yourself that that's the truth, right?
Grant, how can people find you? And you know what's important too, for people that are listening to the podcast, usually it's somebody that if you have a migraine, you're probably not fishing around on Apple Podcasts
Somebody you
or
love
Spotify, like looking for solutions for your migraines.
Hanging
much
out in the
less-
poker room.
That's
or
right.
much less like maybe it's going to be on David Meltzer's or Sean and Lacey's podcast. But people listen to the podcast who know people who are suffering, and just like David was saying, then you're like, wait a minute, I wonder if this could help my mother, my father, my brother, sister, my best friend, my daughter, my son. How can people find you and ask you if maybe what you do could be a solution
Or
for
get
them?
your book.
That's
Yeah,
right. The
yeah.
book.
So I would say the easiest way, and I get this question a lot, is to just go to headpain.org and you can put in your info. I will send you a free copy. In that book, one of the things when I got to the end of it, I realized is what happens for someone who reads this book and they're in Michigan? What happens for someone who reads this book and they're in Australia or England? And I get emails from people and one of the things that I put in there is in the very back of the chapter, it has questions that you can call and ask somebody to see if they're going to be the right provider for you. And it also has my particular info. A lot of people use my email or phone number to reach out to me directly, but really one of my greatest joys is to find somebody in London, England, a doctor for them that can help change their life.
Love it.
And so that's the easiest way I would say is just go to headpain.org, put in your info, reach out to me directly, grant@thespecific.com, and try to find somebody near you. And more importantly, give you empowerment instead of disempowerment to find the help you need.
Right.
Well, I love that. And thank you for joining the mission to help empower over 1 billion people to be happy, recognizing that the physical component is a critical component to being happy. I hope that you guys will reach out to Dr. Grant and see if he might be a solution for you or someone you love. It could be absolutely life-changing. It also could save someone's life. You just never know. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the podcast today. We'll be back again next week. Do not miss it. It's going to be even better.